I'm Shotsie Gorman, originally from Paterson, New Jersey, and I've been tattooing now for 42 years. Kind of an odd thing because, tattooing was around my family. My dad had tattoos. He was a cop in Paterson, actually,
okay.
but he got tattoos when he was in the Navy. He was on a destroyer, which is a small battleship that travels with the big battleship. It's quicker, faster, with big guns on it.
Gotcha.
And he got some, Navy tattoos. My grandfather, who came from Italy, he had 2 tattoos. So my uncles had tattoos. It was all around me.
Sure.
It wasn't something I thought was odd or weird. And when I was a kid, we used to get together. We paid a local wino to buy us a bottle of Mad Dog 2020.
Sure.
And we'd buy him a bottle. And then as kids, we were 10, 11. We'd sit around drinking, getting a little drunk. And then we took 3 needles in the end of a pencil and wrapped it with thread. And, I tattooed a little spider on myself, which is disappeared. My father whipped my ass for that, even though he had tattoos. But the thought of being a tattoo artist wasn't really in my mind. I wanted to be a fine artist. Yeah, I was making sculpture and painting.
Sure.
And at 19, while going on 20, I moved to New York City, and I became friends with this guy, Mike Bacady.
Okay.
So it's a really great story.
Okay.
His son, Mihai, was running the oldest shop in New York City for a long time.
Oh.
So Mike and we worked. The way things worked in New York City was if you were a sculptor, you got work doing drywall, sheetrocking and taping and that kind of thing, and contracting. Okay. And if you were an actor, you became a bartender or a waiter, because that's how things went, right? So you could take time off to go do, rehearsals or whatever. And so I went down to the local artist bar, a place called Finelli's, and I started asking, I said, I'm an artist, where can I find some kind of work? Because I was fucking broke, and I sold my car to get enough money just to move to New York City. And I was living in a sub-basement apartment on East 7th Street. Do you know New York at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 2 blocks down from McSorley's Ale House, but it was in the Puerto Rican community. It was really a ghetto, right next to the projects at the end of East 7th Street, Avenue D. But I was between C and D. Anyway,
okay.
I'm in this sub-basement apartment, looking out at the ankles, going by. And so I ended up working with Mike, and we started doing carpentry jobs together. And Mike kind of adopted me, Mike and his family. He had 2 young boys, Quinn and Mihai, and his wife was from down south. And after we started working together, I'd go home to my little crappy apartment. I didn't even really have a stove.
Right.
I had like a countertop cook thing. And he called me on the phone. He said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm home at work." He took a shower. He goes, "Well, come over to the house." And he lived on the Bowery, about a block and a half from CBGB's.
Okay.
Right on Houston and Bowery. The building's been knocked down now. But anyway, they kind of adopted me. Even if I, wasn't working at the time, they would call me and say, "Come to the house and hang out." And I'd be there with his kids. And he had a bunch of tattoos. Some of them were pretty vulgar from when he was in the Navy. Women with their legs spread saying, "Here's mine, where's yours?" That kind of thing.
Sure.
And so he decided he wanted to get tattooed. And I started going with him to these different tattoo shops and started getting interested. So I went to the New York Public Library and I looked for books on tattooing, and there was only one. Wow. It was by Dr. Albert Parry. It's called The Strange Practice of Tattooing Amongst American Natives. Okay. And it was a 19th century piece of shit that basically said that tattoo artists, getting tattooed was like a predisposition to being a sociopath, to being a criminal, Right. So anyway, I was happy that actually there was no books. That meant that this thing hadn't been, codified, so you could do whatever you wanted. This is what I thought anyway. Sure. So Mike started tattooing me. He got information about collecting tattoos. He was getting sleeved. And we had gone to Big Joe's and to Spider Webs, and he ended up getting tattooed by I don't know, I can't remember the guy's name, but he decided he wanted to do tattooing, so he got somebody to give him the skinny on where to get Spalding and Rogers equipment and some pigments and stuff like that. And he was a great draftsman himself. So I said, I want to get tattooed. He did this Japanese, upper body Japanese tattoo of the two Onis that create storms, Oni of the wind and Oni of lightning and thunder. Yes. And it goes out onto the chest panel.
Yes. And
halfway through, he said, do you want to learn to tattoo? I said, yeah, I want to tattoo. Yes, of course.
Right.
So, we were supposed to do this kind of apprenticeship thing. And we were going to open up a business together. And his wife got really pissed. She didn't want him tattooing for a living. She's like, I think she wanted the cachet of him being a fine artist. He was teaching at LaGuardia Community College. He was headed toward, he was an adjunct professor, but he was headed toward becoming full-time. Anyway, I had taken what little bit of money I had stashed, and I bought a sterilizer. It was a dry heat sterilizer. And then I bought a little toaster oven or whatever the hell it was, at the flea market. I got myself 2 Spalding and Rogers Supremes and some tubes, and I was ready, but the deal fell through, and we had kind of a falling out. So I thought, oh, fuck this. I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah. And I started I had moved to 26th Street at that time. I had a loft there. So at the front part of my loft, I built a little box, and I just started advertising in the back of the Village Voice.
Nice.
That's how I really got started. And pissed off Spider Web because he, of course, had fired me. So this is when I decided to do my own thing. So I couldn't find work in Jersey in a place I thought was safe.
Right.
So I started advertising in the back of the Village Voice, and one of my advertisements said, "Caught in the web, WEBB, for Spider.
Right.
Come to see me for your next tattoo." And Spider was so fucking angry, man. He was like livid, Hey, you fired my ass. You could have had me there.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I went on a long story there, but that's my start.
That's awesome.
Totally didn't look for tattooing, didn't think about being a tattoo artist, but it chose me.
Sure, I think that's true with a lot of people with this art form, and the ones that really seem to stick with it and become something in it are the ones that really it almost takes over your life. It seems like it really consumes you, whether it's the tattooing or the art, the painting, but it's, I don't know, at least with myself, it just seems to be a constant, of course we have other things in our lives, but I think it's
it'll suck up all your time. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's way more consuming than any other profession. I think that, a guy that roofs doesn't come home then and want to practice roofing, what I'm saying? But we'll come home and we'll do a painting. Or we'll,
draw, get ready.
Yeah.
So I think that's, that's the whole thing. It's like, I thought, oh yeah, I can tattoo and that'll help me to generate enough money. Why do I have to do fucking sheetrock anymore? And I can make sculpture from the money I make from tattooing.
Sure.
And it was like, okay, all I did was just tattoo and practice and draw and get ready for the next tattoo. And, it was it's a crazy thing, when you tattoo and you have this, I came to that realization like, oh, this is it. And this is going to transform my life. There's a lot of outsiders, a lot of people who live on the outside edge of the culture,
Absolutely.
And that was exciting. And really it did. Here I am 42 years later, and tattooing's gone totally industry, commercial, everyday kind of thing, It used to be if I saw a guy with sleeves, I'd be like, oh, hey, are you in the business?
Right.
They'd be like, yeah, or whatever. Now it's like everybody's got sleeves and they got their faces tattooed and they work at, I don't know, they work in some cafe slinging coffee.